Let's be honest. If you're still counting on that super long, complicated password to keep you safe, you're using yesterday's armor for tomorrow's fight. The rules have completely changed. And your old habits, they're no longer your shield, they're your biggest vulnerability. This is your playbook for 2025.
51 seconds. Think about that for a moment. What can you even do in 51 seconds? Maybe zap something in the microwave? Well, for a decent hacker, that's all the time they need to go from getting a single toehold in a network to owning the entire kingdom. We're talking total compromise in less than a minute. That's the terrifying speed we're up against now.
So that leads to a really important question, one you need to ask yourself right now. In a world that moves at the speed of a mouse click, are the security tricks you learned 5, maybe 10 years ago really enough to protect you anymore?
The honest answer? Nope, not even close. The game is just different now. But here's the good news. There's a new playbook, a new set of rules designed for this exact battlefield, and we're about to walk you through it piece by piece.
Okay, so before we can learn the new plays, we have to understand the field we're playing on. And let me tell you, this isn't about some lone hacker in a dark basement anymore. We are in the middle of a full-blown, global digital conflict.
One of our sources just nails it with this description. We're in a state of persistent, high-intensity cyber conflict. And what that really means, in plain English, is that the line between your iPhone and the nation's power grid has basically vanished. An attack on one can now bleed over into the other.
For a real-world example, look no further than a group called Salt Typhoon. These guys didn't just hit a single company. No, they went after the very backbone of the internet itself, the core routers that connect to all of us. And by doing that, they gave themselves the power to track people's locations and listen in on calls and texts on a truly massive scale.
And these huge, sophisticated attacks, they come with a very real price tag. The average cost of a data breach, just in the US, has now ballooned to over $10 million. And that's not some funny number on a balance sheet. That's a cost that eventually gets passed down to you and me.
So how in the world are they pulling this off? To figure that out, we need to crack open the modern hacker's playbook and see exactly what tactics they're using to get inside.
You know, for all the talk about advanced technology and complex hacks, the number one vulnerability, the weakest link in the chain, it's still us, people. The human element is involved in a wild 78% of all data breaches. We're not just a target. We are the main event. And now, attackers are putting that vulnerability on steroids with artificial intelligence. Just think about it. AI can now write a perfect phishing email that sounds exactly like your boss. It can create a deepfake audio clip of your CEO asking for an urgent money transfer. These aren't the clumsy, typo-filled emails from a few years ago. These are convincing, surgical strikes powered by AI. So with threats this smart, how can any company possibly defend itself? Especially when half their team is working from a coffee shop. Well, that brings us to how the modern workplace is fighting back. The key weapon in their arsenal is something called Unified Endpoint Management, or UEM. The absolute best way to think about it is like a central immune system for the entire company. It gives their IT folks one single screen to monitor, manage, and lock down every single laptop, phone, and tablet connected to their network, no matter where it is on the planet. And that kind of central control is everything in today's world. Let me paint you a picture. Say a sales manager leaves their laptop at an airport security checkpoint. Total nightmare, right? Well, with UEM, the IT team can, from thousands of miles away, hit a button and instantly wipe all the company data off that laptop. Threat neutralized. It's all about keeping control, even when you can't physically see the device. Okay, so that's the big corporations. But what about you? What about your data, your devices, your life? This is where it gets personal. This section is all about building your own fortress with things you can do the second this is over. Let's kick off with the absolute basics, the non-negotiables of good security hygiene. And one of the simplest, but most powerful, is to just restart your phone once a week. Yeah, that's it. Why? Well, it flushes out certain kinds of malware that can only live in your phone's temporary memory. It's like a quick little digital detox. Next up is your network defense. You absolutely need a VPN, especially on public Wi-Fi, but they are not all created equal. This table breaks down the two heavyweights. OpenVPN has been the trusted champ for years. It's solid, but WireGuard, that's the future. It's built on way less code. Think of it this way. Would you rather proofread a short poem or a 1,000-page novel for mistakes? The poem's going to be a lot easier to check, right?
Same idea here. And that super clean, efficient code translates into one thing for you: raw speed. We're talking 3 to 4 times faster than OpenVPN in head-to-head tests. That's the difference between your 4K movie streaming perfectly or just buffering. You know the pain. For pretty much everything you do online, it's a huge difference. Okay, let's get personal. The device you're watching me on right this second, your laptop. How locked down is it really? Are you positive there aren't some wide-open doors just waiting for trouble? Let's make sure it's a fortress. If you're on a Mac, this is your checklist. Grab a screenshot. But there are 2 things on here that are absolutely mission critical. 1, turn on File Vault. It scrambles every single file on your drive. 2, and this is the one almost everyone gets wrong, use a non-admin account for your day-to-day stuff. Think of the admin account as the master key to your entire castle. If malware gets into a regular account, the damage is contained. If it gets into an admin account, it's game over. And for all my Windows 11 users, don't worry, we got you. Here's your list. Again, that standard non-admin account is probably the most powerful thing you can do. But another great one is to turn on random hardware addresses. Basically, your device has a unique digital license plate. This feature scrambles that plate every time you connect to a new Wi-Fi network, making it incredibly hard for anyone to track you from place to place. Look, everything we've talked about so far is important. It really is. But this next move, it's not just an improvement. It's a full-on revolution. It is time for us to finally bury the single biggest security problem of the last 30 years. The password, as you know it, is dead. And this slide right here shows you why. A password is a shared secret. You have it, and the website has it. If their server gets hacked, your secret is out. A passkey is totally different. Imagine you have a mailbox with a mail slot. Anyone in the world can drop a letter in that slot. That's your public key. But only you have the key to open the box and read the letters. That's your private key. And with passkeys, that private key never ever leaves your device. There is no shared secret to steal. It's just a fundamentally better design. And here is the truly beautiful part. Passkeys are not only way more secure, they're a million times easier to use. You just use your face or your fingerprint, and boom, you're in. No more typing, no more forgotten passwords, and, get this, it makes you immune to phishing. A passkey for your bank literally will not work on a fake scammer's website. It's that rare moment where you get more security and more convenience at the same time. So let's zoom out and put all these pieces together, because this isn't just about a random list of tips. It's about a fundamental shift in how we approach our digital lives. It's about developing a new security mindset. The mindset we all need to have for 2025 is what you might call informed paranoia. Now, that doesn't mean being afraid of technology. Not at all. It means being a realist. It means understanding that the threats out there are real and sophisticated. But it also means being informed, knowing that you have incredibly powerful tools and habits at your disposal to fight back. It's not about being scared. It's about being prepared. So I'll leave you with this one last question to really think about as you go through your own security setup. Is your digital protection built on something as fragile and flawed as human memory, a bunch of passwords you can't quite remember? Or is it built on the cold, hard, unbreakable foundation of modern mathematics? In this new digital battlefield, the choice you make there, well, it changes everything.